What's a movie mistake you notice every single time you watch that movie? I'll go first. This time we're doing James Cameron's Avatar. James Cameron is one of the greatest filmmakers of all time, but there are still some continuity mistakes that slip through the cracks. These are just a few. Not sure if this first one is a mistake technically, but it's pretty funny. When the shuttle first lands on Pandora and Sully is getting onto his wheelchair to get off the ship, if you watch behind him, there's a crew member struggling to get his mask to seal to his face. You better act quick, buddy. You're gonna die within 4 minutes if you don't get that mask sealed straight. The next mistake comes when Parker's putting on the green at the company headquarters. You can see behind him a woman walk from left to right. And just a few seconds later, right here again. It's so weird and distracting, but you probably wouldn't notice unless you were looking for it. A little later in the movie, after Jake meets Neytiri for the first time in the jungles, as they're walking through the glowing foliage, you can see Neytiri carrying her bow and arrows in one hand. She turns around, knocks Jake down, and as she's lecturing him, there's one shot where the arrows magically disappear, but then they're back in the very next shot. So weird. Next up, when the humans are unloading missiles on the Na'vi tree, there's an explosion and you see Jake's avatar push Grace's avatar over a log. It cuts to more missiles being fired and back to Jake pushing Grace over the log again in the exact same shot. Clearly an editing mistake. And as anyone will tell you, hair is a continuity nightmare. During the scene when Jake is talking to Su-Te in front of all the Na'vi, you'll notice Su-Te's hair changes positions many times. As Jake approaches Su-Te, you'll notice all his loose strands hanging over his right shoulder. They cut to the next shot and it's all tucked behind his right shoulder. Then in the very next shot, there's one or two strands, and then another shot where there's no strands, it's all behind his back. Throughout this scene, his hair is moving all over the place, but it's really something you only notice if you're paying really close attention. Even Jake's avatar has hair issues. In the scene where Jake's talking to Maui, you can clearly see his ponytail resting all the way down his back to his rear. And then they cut to the very next shot, it's suddenly tucked in front of his shoulder as he picks it up and attaches it to the tree. Man, these ponytail continuity issues are getting real hairy. But my favorite mistake comes when Colonel Quaritch is fighting Jake Sully's avatar in the final scene while he's in an amp suit. After Jake shatters the windshield and Colonel Quaritch ejects the windshield, you can clearly see in close shots there are handles up above his head on the suit, and then when you cut away to further shots, there are no handles. This happens throughout this entire scene. Handles, no handles, handles, no handles. A lot of these aren't blatantly obvious mistakes, but you gotta have a really sharp eye and pay close attention to notice these. Are there any mistakes you want to see? Let me know in the comments.